All right. Welcome, Steeler Nation, Steeler fans, my family. What's happening? What is happening, everybody? I hope everybody is well. I hope all is well. It's been a while since I've seen you good people face to face. Last week, got busy, had a special occasion to go to, man, and of course I forgot to post that I was not doing a show on X, so some of you guys probably just had to assume. Week before that, you guys probably remember I was in Vegas for work, and I had to do a pre-recorded show. But here we are, guys, live again, not a lot to talk about, and I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to get right to it because, again, there's not a lot to talk about, and I have another video that I need to do regarding some gaming stuff, so let's just get to it, man. Hello, first and foremost. Again, welcome, guys, to the latest and greatest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. For those of you that don't know, I am your host, SimFBallCritic, live from the Steel Basement. And what is happening? We'll say hello to a few of the early commenters. My family in the building, man. Aaron Morris, he says, Brother Sim in the building. Appreciate it. You in the building as well. Jared Devil, hello. The lovely Lanisha in the building. Hello, Lanisha. Hope you are doing well each and every week. We always look forward to seeing Lanisha in the building and all of our lovely ladies of the Steeler Nation. Make sure you guys lay out the red carpet for them. Who else is in here early, man? My man, Mark Cunningham in the building. Charles Jackson in the building. Chris Fala in the building, and infamous Tim is in the building. And like I said, man, not a whole lot to get into, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me get to my topics here. I have my notes in my silly phone here. Where do we want to begin? Of course, the main topic, guys, and the overarching topic is, are the Steelers in a better position than we think? And I will explain that here momentarily. But before we get to that, the first thing I did want to talk about, man, a minor thing, and this may have gone unnoticed by some, but I definitely wanted to speak on it. Shout outs to Deshawn Elliott. I'm very excited about Deshawn Elliott extending his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you give me a moment, guys, I should have had this information handy. Hold on. I'm sure y'all have seen it, but I want to do my due diligence and my duty and give the actual information if I can find it. Hold on, guys. 1 second. But yeah, in case some of you guys don't know, Deshawn Elliott did get an extension, and I want to say it was last week, I believe it was, if my information is correct. But hold on, guys. I'm going to get the actual figures for everybody. And then I'll, give you my 2 cents on that. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Who doing? But like I said, man, while some of you guys are filing in, I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. It's going to be a quick one tonight, man. Quick one. Hold on, guys. Bear with me. And like I said, I should have had this handy, right? But, forgive me. It's live TV. Now, while I'm pulling that up, man, speaking of defensive back, while I'm pulling up the Deshawn Elliott, let me ask you guys an opinion and a question really quick. How do y'all feel about the Steelers potential trading for Jaylen Ramsey? I want to check you guys' temperature with that. I'm going to sit that question out there and check you guys' temperature on that. How do you guys feel about that? Jaylen Ramsey, reportedly the Steelers have shown some interest. What they're currently saying right now is that, the latest information is that, the Steelers are probably not likely to trade for him. But my question is, how do you guys feel about that? Would you be happy or upset about the Steelers potentially trading for one Jaylen Ramsey? And then I do have the information on Deshawn Elliott. But if you guys can answer that in the chat, man, I'm curious to see what you guys think. And I'll read a few questions, a few responses, and then I'll give you mine. Let's see what y'all got. Let's see what y'all got. Let's see what y'all got. What y'all got? Jaylen Ramsey. Jaylen Ramsey. Anybody? Infamous Tim says, the big name does or does not always equal big impact. I like Jaylen Ramsey, but I'm not trying to pay big bucks to an aging cornerback on the most expensive defense already. I ain't mad at that. Jared Devil says, depends on what they give up, but I'm all for bettering the team. Okay. Definitely depends on compensation. Definitely depends on compensation. Oh, man. Shout outs to my man, Crazy Ron Gaming. Let's give him a round of applause, guys. Hold on. 1 second, guys. Where is it? I'm having computer issues, guys. Stuff is acting up. Hold on. It doesn't seem to be working. It seems to be frozen. Okay. Is everything still streaming okay, guys? My computer seems to be acting very crazy right about now. Everything still streaming? It's freezing on my side, but let me just check the temperature real quick with y'all. Is everything streaming correctly? Y'all can hear me. Y'all can see me. Everything is frozen on my end, so let's try the round of applause again. Okay, Jared Devil says I'm good. Maybe it's just on my end. It says stream dies, freezes from time to time. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man. I think it might be the computer. It's definitely not my connection. I'm hardwired. I have plenty of speed. It might just be the computer, man. I shut it down earlier and then I hadn't turned it back on, so it might just be catching up because my apps and everything were freezing a little bit. So there we are with a round of applause to Crazy Ron Gaming. He says after Thursday he would be retired. Wonderful. That's wonderful, man. That is wonderful, sir. Happy for you. I hope you find a relaxation and enjoyment in your retirement, man. And like I said, enjoy it, you know, and that's the thing that I always hope for anybody who's at a point where they can retire is that they can enjoy it with emotionally and financially and all of the above. So congratulations to you, man. And yeah, man, enjoy. Please enjoy. But as far as Jaylen Ramsey, guys, really quick, I'll give my 2 cents. I'm kind of on the same page as, let me see who said that. Scroll back a little bit. Infamous Tim. Listen, y'all know I love Jaylen Ramsey just as a person. Anybody who was a Knoll, you know, that came out of, you know, Knoll's country, y'all already know that I'm going to have an affinity for most of those guys because I'm going to know who they are. I've seen their college career, and I'm always going to have a, you know, certain level of love for those guys, especially if they ended up being NFL athletes, right? But I'm agreeing. You know, I'm cool on the aging cornerback. I mean, we already got one. You know, we already got one in Darius Slay. So, you know, if you bring in a Jaylen Ramsey, what is the Steelers' intention, right? Are they looking for an additional corner to play dime, right? Because you would think Darius Slay coming off of a Super Bowl, you know, that veteran leadership, and, you know, like they say, he's been there, done that. You know, infamous Tim, I see you messing with Why Diggy. But yeah, it's like, you know, what's the game plan to have both of those guys? You know, are you saying that you acquire better talent to run dime because you can still only have one or two of those guys out there? I don't think at this stage of their career, I don't think you're bringing any one of those guys in to replace Joey Porter. I don't think you bring either one of those guys to play slot, maybe, but. You know, so it would make me think if you traded for Jaylen Ramsey, Are you looking to start him outside of Joy Porter Jr. and have Darius Slay play, more sub and dime packages and things like that? Perhaps, right? But, I'd rather the team just continue to try to get younger and go from there. So that's my 2 cents on that. So there you have it. But again, guys, back to Deshawn Elliott, then I'll move on. Deshawn Elliott has signed a new 3-year contract. So I think along with the extension, he'll be with the Steelers for 3 years. It was a $12 point something million deal with about 9.2 guaranteed. And listen, I'm happy for Deshawn Elliott. If you guys have been watching this channel, if you guys have been watching the games, it's clear that Deshawn Elliott brought something to that defense. I have been overjoyed and ecstatic about his play and things he has done for the Steelers in both pass defense as well as, the run game. You know what I mean? Like he's been all over the field. He's been a constant person that you could say that there was something in the game that you liked that he did. And again, I don't look at him as the next Troy Polamalu. Everybody always gets that fixation in their head. Oh, they don't have a lot of interceptions. Dog, that don't always matter. That doesn't always equate to how good a safety is just because they don't have a ton of interceptions. If you look at the games, play in, play out, Deshaun Elliott has been really good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I have no beef with that contract, and I'm happy that we could get him re-signed so we don't really have to worry about that position. Strong safety for the foreseeable future, right? And I just like the mentality, man. And I like his realness that he brought to the team. Not afraid to say what he has to say. Brash, honest. Being disappointed when some guys on the team are not locked in. Like, I love that. You need that type of guy, man, to hold people accountable. And I love that. So I'm very, very excited, man, that we got him back in the fold. Like I said, I don't think I had got a chance to talk about that live. So I wanted to do that tonight. The next topic, which is pretty much going to bleed into the final topic, right? And I told you guys, very short show tonight. Listen, man, Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee basically said that this will be his last season. He's going to finish his career in 2025 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He continues to talk about how much he respects the organization as well as Mike Tomlin. And, he feels like this would be a good opportunity for him. He even said some things, kind of, when he talked about Will Howard, he kind of talked along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, but he kind of said, you're in a unique position, being on this side of the career where you could actually help someone else. And he's talking like he's looking forward to it. He's saying that, of course, he's not going to tell us the negatives, but he's saying that, Will Howard has shown some impressive things and he wants to take him under his wing and help him to get better, teach him some things that he could do better, teach him more about the pro game. And I don't have an issue with that if Aaron Rodgers is really doing that and being sincere. I know some people are going to call BS on that. I don't know. I don't, guys. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know Aaron Rodgers, the man. If that's what he's saying, then, and the reports are coming out that the players in the locker room are saying that, he's giving speeches and they're buying in and all that, then I'm going to go ahead and believe that he's acting like a good teammate. I guess regardless of whatever reputation supersedes who he is, I can only go off of what we're hearing and what's being reported, right? I don't know this guy personally, so we'll leave it at that. But yeah, I don't have any beef with it, man. I know some people are already trying to say, oh, you're making it about you. No, guys, he's 20 years in the league. I mean, what did you expect him to say? Is it a surprise to hear him say he's going to retire? So I don't know. I just feel like we nitpick too many things. And which leads me to my last point, guys, and the title of this video. And I want this to be kind of a discussion between myself and you guys in the chat. Are the Steelers in a better position than we think they are? Let me explain. If you look down in the topics of this video in the description, I wrote, and I purposely wrote it this way, I wrote, how good will the Steelers be? Notice I didn't write, how good can the Steelers be? I said, will they be? And the reason why I say will is I'm just talking about this year, because clearly this is not a future. This is this season with Aaron Rodgers, and then whatever the Steelers' plan is after that, we'll see it. But are they in a better position than we think? Let me explain. I don't think there's a doubt, maybe by some of you, but if you really pay attention to, look at the last 6-7 games of the season. Aaron Rodgers can still play football. No, he's not the Aaron Rodgers he used to be, but Aaron Rodgers' arm talent has not gone anywhere. He's still good, right? He still can play at a high level. I won't necessarily say an elite level, not always, because again, at 41 years old, nobody expects that, but Aaron Rodgers can play at a high level still, given the right situation. The Steelers are definitely a team that is built to run the football, right? That's what they want to do. There are reports out there saying that Aaron Rodgers, Tomlin, as well as Arthur Smith, all have gotten together to talk about different things about the offense, what they might want to incorporate, and what Arthur Smith's ideas are and how they'll be able to mesh with Aaron Rodgers. You bring in a guy like Caleb Johnson, who clearly will be outstanding. I'm going to go ahead and say that. He's going to be an outstanding zone scheme runner. Him and Jaylen Warren. You would expect the Steelers to be able to run the football. Can Aaron Rodgers still play at a high level when he has a run game? I think so. Again, this is coming from a guy that didn't necessarily want them to sign Rodgers, because I want them to just commit to being young and go through your rebuild and find your franchise QB. But once something is done, what's done is done. Now I got to get on board. Also, the reason why I say, are they in a better position than we think? What if Aaron Rodgers really is mentoring or helping Will Howard? Because his words, he said, I think I'm going to do all I can to help this guy, potentially be the next guy, potentially as early as next year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So what if he gets Will Howard to a point where it's like, okay, let's see what this kid has. And it gives the Steelers an option to not necessarily have to solely go for a QB in 2026 because you don't know who's there. Obviously, if the right quarterback is there, all of us think they're going to do it. But I'm saying they could be in a situation where, look, if they don't end up getting what they want, you've had Aaron Rodgers and Will Howard together for a whole year, and he's learning everything he can from him. And the Steelers could potentially still be in a situation where they find a franchise quarterback. Could be sitting right there. Right? So what I mean by that, guys, is I'm not talking about 2025. I'm not talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers winning the Super Bowl. I mean, if something crazy like that happens, so be it. I'm just talking about the position that they sit in, where there's basically two opportunities here for a QB. Will Howard could develop under Aaron Rodgers, or the Steelers could very well get another quarterback in 2026. And now with Aaron Rodgers openly saying this is his last season, it makes me feel like that was the play the whole time, almost as if, again, I'm going to use quote fingers because I don't know, it's speculation, but it's almost as if the Steelers planned it this exact way. We know we're only going to go with Aaron Rodgers for 1 year. Hey, let's grab this kid that won the national championship and let's see what he can learn under Aaron Rodgers while also looking at the quarterback class and who's going to come out for 2026. Bringing a veteran quarterback like that, get even all of our young talent feeling good about themselves to be able to play with some of these kids. Yeah, you say kids in this state. They looked up to a guy like Aaron Rodgers as far as a football player. Now, again, this is all speculative, guys. I am not sitting here trying to campaign and wave the pom-poms from Aaron Rodgers. I'm just trying to look at it from an objective standpoint now that he is on the team. And now he's openly admitted that this will be his last season. So, like I said, it just makes me wonder, are the Steelers in a better situation than we think? Is it possible that the Steelers can win with Aaron Rodgers complemented by a strong run game and solid defense? It's possible, right? It's possible. I'm not going to say Super Bowl, but I'm saying it's possible. Like, what I don't want us to do as fans, at least this will help you sleep a little bit better at night. I don't want us automatically just dismissing everything. Oh, they ain't going to do this, they ain't going to do that. You never know. Have realistic expectations, but you never know what this team could end up being in 2025. Again, it doesn't always take the best quarterback situation in the world in terms of performance. Let me give you an example that is kind of familiar and hits home because this guy is on our staff. Kind of reminds me of the Ryan Tannehill-led Tennessee Titans. For those 2 seasons that they were just mauling over people with a powerful run game and a quarterback that was capable of running play action. Right? So you don't have to necessarily be Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson even, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud. You don't necessarily have to be that style QB in offense. You could be a team that primarily runs the football. If I recall, there's a team in the same state as the Pittsburgh Steelers that won the Super Bowl, and they were led by their running back and led by their quarterback, which in many people's eyes is not a world-beating quarterback. He's just was a good leader for the team, took shots when he needed to, put in the right situation, aided by Saquon Barkley. See what I'm getting at, guys? And again, I am not, y'all know I'm not doing this, so don't even accuse me of it. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, the Steelers are going to, no. I'm just saying I'm not going to completely dismiss what this team could be. As much as I want to, I won't. Because what if Aaron Rodgers plays great? What if the running game is clicking? What if the defense is playing solid? Not even great, solid. Then what? How many teams could we compete with on a week-to-week basis with that formula? I'm just saying possibilities are always there. So we'll see, man. But like I said, guys, there's not a whole lot that I could have got into today. Very short show. So I'm definitely going to throw it to you guys in the chat, man. If you guys can give me any thoughts, comments to what I said or anything that you would like me to discuss. Again, and it's going to be this way until we get to training camp, until there's real stuff to talk about. Infamous Tim says, Roman Wilson a real person or is he just a fever dream? Yeah, man, and I'm looking forward to Roman Wilson. I mean, he's looking good in shorts, right? And again, like I said, when you have a lower body injury, I want to see how you look in shorts because that is your fastest that you're going to be. So if you can move fast like that, it makes me think that you have recovered. And speaking of which, guys, I should have did this at the top of the hour. Let me pause my music here. Oh, actually, I don't even have the music on, so that's good. Just cut it back on, but I'm going to pause it. I'm just going to do a quick moment of silence, man, for you guys that don't know. Arthur Smith's father passed away, the founder of FedEx. Passed away last week, right? I don't remember if it was over the weekend or if it was like Friday, but, very recent. So just want to pay respects to Arthur Smith and his family. So I'm just going to do a quick 10-second or so moment of silence. All right. And God bless him and his family. Rest in peace. Let's see what y'all got, man. Sonny Rothmiller says, Sim, you said something profound last year when you said you wait till week 6 to see how the team will shape up. Yeah, that's what I typically do, man. I typically wait until about week 6. Sometimes it starts, showing itself early, but week 6, sometimes 7, but generally week 6 is when I can say I know what the team is. I've seen enough to know what we want to do, and I've seen enough to see where inconsistencies are and where we're not efficient, right? And that's usually what I do every year, man. Even if we look good on paper, I always want to see about 6 games. And that's when I can give you my real thoughts on what I think the team is or isn't. And that will never change. That will never change. What y'all got? Y Diggy says, how much do we need to see from Will Howard to make Steeler Nation not want to draft a QB in 2026? Y Diggy, that is an outstanding question because, see, this is what happens to QBs that are drafted and don't play. We don't see what they are. Especially, let's use Aaron Rodgers for instance, especially when it's a Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers still played a few years. Especially when it's a Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers sat behind him for 3 to 4 years. We don't get to see it, right? Maybe obviously the organization and the team is seeing something and scout practices and training camp and things like that to make them think so-and-so has come along. But that is a good question, Y Diggy, because I don't think we will know. We probably wouldn't even know until, let's say, the Steelers don't draft a QB in 2026. Then we can assume, okay, they believe in Will Howard. They're going to give him a shot. Or if something unfortunate happens, and I would hate for this to happen in the man's final season, Aaron Rodgers goes down and Will Howard has to play, not Mason Rudolph, right? Then maybe we see enough out of whatever amount of games he has to play to make us feel like there's something there, especially being a rookie. So good question, Y Diggy, man. But I think it is tough for guys like that because us fans will never know and we won't see it. So it's hard for us to assess that situation. Oh, man, we got some Wonder Bread. Round of applause to Stillberg. I appreciate the Wonder Bread, brother. Very good question. He says, how comfortable are you guys with our receivers if DK Metcalf were to get hurt? You know what? That's a very good question, and it's a valid one, Stillberg. But I will say this, and again, maybe call me a more relaxed, a thinking fan, if you will, nowadays. I agree with that question and that sentiment. But if you look around the league, how many teams are still impactful if their number one receiver goes down? As far as comfort, let's look right in the division. DK, that's our number one guy, but let's look right in the division. Jamar Chase goes down, and hopefully he doesn't. Not wishing that on anybody. The Bengals are now only led by T. Higgins. Who else gives you comfort? I don't know how to pronounce that dude's name, but that dude with the funny name, he's pretty decent. Number 80, I think he is. But I don't know if he's, is he decent because Jamar Chase is on the field and T. Higgins is on the field? Is he that good if one of those guys goes down? It kind of reminds me of Steeler Nation with the whole Juju effect. He was so effective when AB was there, but as soon as there was no AB and everybody put those lofty expectations on him, and he was not a number one like we were accustomed to seeing from AB. Some receivers need another guy so they can get one-on-ones or they can get pressure taken off of them and situations like that. But there's not many teams in the league that I could say you remove their number one guy and they good to go. But it is a valid question because then, again, using the Cincinnati Bengals as an example, hey, even using the Cowboys as an example, You lose CD Lamb, you still got GP. You lose GP, you still got CD Lamb. In the Steelers situation, if you lose DK, then who is that number 2 guy that now becomes your number 1 target? And that we can't answer right now. It wouldn't be Robert Woods because Robert Woods' role isn't to do that. Could it be Calvin Austin as a main target? Could it be Roman Wilson as the main target? We don't know. Because we haven't seen Roman Wilson do it in the NFL consistently. So that is a very good question, Stillberg. I won't say comfort because I would like to have 2 studs, if you will. Maybe Roman Wilson will become that, but again, it's TBD. Good question. Mark Cunningham says, watch Roman Wilson this summer in camp. CA3 gave him the blueprint to come back in injury and, when you're injured in your rookie year. Yeah, good point. Good point. Sonny Rothmiller makes a good point as well. He says, I think Aaron can distribute the ball to other receivers. Yeah, that's going to be key. That's going to be very key, man. I think Aaron Rodgers will spread the ball around. So in an unfortunate situation where DK goes down, Aaron Rodgers could probably still, get the offense to hum a little bit, right? And again, the run game, hoping that the run game does what it has to do. Why Diggy says, with Deontay Johnson saying what he said about not checking in the game, I think the type of receivers we have now have a different mentality to where it might not be as big of losing DK. Okay, I see what you're saying. There. Great point, valid point there. Yeah, it might not be as big of a hit if you lose DK. I see what you're saying there, man. And it's such a shame. Speaking of Deontay Johnson, man, I hate to see those type of things, man, happen to players where they just turn for the worse mentality wise. Like, come on, man. Come on. Mark says, I'm not bragging, but I did ask you guys about an Elliott extension a few weeks ago. Yeah, man, you hit that one on the head, man. And, like most of y'all know, you guys heard me even after the games, how many times throughout the season I talked about Deshawn Elliott, man, and how he just showed up. Really happy that they got that done. I like Deshawn Elliott a lot. Like him a lot for what he's done as a Steeler. Sonny says he would like to see us get one more corner. How do you feel about Jaylen Ramsey? I don't know if you were here when I asked that question earlier. I asked the chat, man, how they felt just about the quote-unquote talks and rumors of them trading for Jaylen Ramsey. And what I said about that is we already have an older veteran in Slay. If they traded for him, the question is, what is the plan? Are they trading for a corner like Jaylen Ramsey to have him and Slay battle it out to be who's going to be the guy outside, opposite Joy Porter Jr.? I don't think either one of those guys are a slot corner. So I'm not mad at the Steelers getting another corner. I don't know. Us getting another corner to me right now would have to be for dime situations and or someone that you feel is a bona fide or a better slot man. I see that Mike Hilton is out there. I don't know why he's still sitting out there. I don't know if his value has diminished, since being with Cincinnati. I know he had a couple good seasons with them. So maybe the Steelers would want to do something like that just because of familiarity and, they know what they're going to get from him from the slot. But I would imagine Mike Hilton probably has his warts. He had a few warts even with Pittsburgh and when it came to coverage, right? And I think you could you might be able to develop Beanie Bishop into what Mike Hilton became. Very possible. I just haven't seen a slot corner for the Steelers be able to blitz and get home as well as Mike Hilton did with the Steelers. I will say that with confidence. Kenyon just said something about Beanie Bishop. Yeah, man. I like that kid too. You know, he took his lumps last year, but Beanie Bishop is a baller. So keep an eye out on him. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got, man. The only thing else I'm going to say while I have you guys here, this is not Steeler related. I just wanted to say this in a public forum because I just watch social media, man, and it always cracks me up how people build these narratives. I'm just going to say a couple sentences about the NBA Finals. First of all, what a great finals. Turned out to be good. You know, I wanted to see two teams that could go at it like that, and it did not disappoint. But I just don't... the people that are out there saying that OKC doesn't deserve the title and they wouldn't have won if Halliburton hadn't gone down and you know, God bless Halliburton, man. I hate to see injuries like that. Hopefully he recovers and he comes back the same or better. But this is the only thing I have to say about that. They played 6 games prior to Game 7, correct? 6. They were tied 3-3. So why is it that automatically the people that have this narrative, how does that automatically say that the Pacers are automatically going to win while in OKC in a Game 7 if Halliburton doesn't go down because he started off a little hot? Where is the guarantee in that? And that cracks me up. And it just reminds me of what we do sometimes here in Steeler Nation. We be speculating and we speculate into fact. We turn speculation in our mind into a fact. Because I'm telling you, go look at social media. People are swearing up and down. Man, if he wouldn't have got hurt, they would have won. OKC don't deserve it. Well, like I said, they played 6 games prior to that. If OKC didn't deserve to be there, the series should have been over 4-0. Should have got swept, right? Or 4-1 even. Or 4-2, right? If they didn't deserve it, we got to stop, man. We got to stop. That's all I wanted to say on that. You know, the best team in the league record-wise, the MVP, but for some reason, they didn't deserve to win. Like, y'all, you got to stop, man. Jermaine White says, didn't have the skin in the game being a 76ers fan. Shout outs to you, Jermaine. Me too, man. I poor Sixers. He said, but OKC played better team ball, period, in Game 7. Yeah, that's the only thing I just don't understand, man. I just don't understand how we come to that narrative. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, Kenya. It's crazy. But anyway, shout outs to OKC, man. Well deserved. And like I told y'all a few weeks back, I like SGA. Like the kid. He's a baller. But anyway, as far as still a businessman, guys, if there's anything else breaking, I will come here and give you some thoughts, you know, prior to Tuesday. But if not, I'll be back Tuesday and maybe we have something to talk about. But don't get your hopes up, guys, because it is a very slow cycle right now. Again, obviously, with us being in this period. So it's about all I have. And yeah, I saw somebody say something about Antonio Brown. Crying shame, man. It's just a crying shame how these guys who were once NFL superstars and their outside lives just go downhill. And man, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. And, you know, I won't speak too much on that situation, but apparently somebody tried to jump him or whatever at the party and he pulled out and you gotta use this nowadays, guys. You gotta think before reacting. That's just how it is nowadays. But all right, guys, I love y'all, man. Y'all know that. Before we go, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications. Outside of that, I'm going to let you guys know, like I always do, please stay healthy, stay safe. God bless. Good night. Like always, I thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in. And I shall catch you in the next one. Peace.